Anytime we launch a new kayak, in this case the Hammer, the internet does what it does best, and that is ask a lot of questions. I even wore my Hammer Time pants. Why? So instead of replying back to all these keyboard warriors, I decided to go directly to the source, the people who make them. Don't worry, y'all, I'm not the one actually building these things. Oh, got some in the scupper. What actually is the Hammer? Well, I've got our COO, Tyler Brown, right here, and he's gonna walk us through some of these questions. He's got some extensive time in the Hammer, so there's no better person to ask these questions. First question, so what is the difference between the Hammer and other kayaks? Well, that seems pretty vague, so I'll ask Tyler, why does the Hammer exist?
Well, the Hammer exists because we were trying to create the perfect blend of being able to switch between motorization and pedal drive. The Hammer has a ton of capacity. It has the right hull to be super efficient from a performance standpoint to be able to switch between both of them. And we really think that this kayak really sets itself apart in the marketplace for being able to do that.
All right, Tyler, so you just talked about the big picture around the Hammer and how it might fit into the kayak market as a whole, but how do you see it fitting into our own lineup?
Ooh, great question, Justin. I'm glad you've asked. Let's go take a look at the LTE to start us off. The LTE is lightweight, 10-foot pedal-driven kayak. This is so easy to just throw in the back of your truck or your car and rooftop it and get on the water really quickly. We've got the Max 10. So if you want to add more electronics to your kayak and a 10-foot platform, the Max is the great choice for that. And then we have our Titan X series. So we have a 10.5-foot and a 12.5-foot platform. This is our stability series. So if you're looking for just rock solid stability, adding electronics, motor as well, great platforms to pick from there. And then we have our Hammer. The Hammer is built around performance. That hull is fast, so you can cruise with this. It's got added capacity, so you can add a ton of gear to it. And the way that you can switch between motorization and pedal is there's nothing else like it on the market.
This next one is actually a really good question, but is this kayak, the Hammer, meant to replace our current Titan X?
It is not, actually. So the Titan X is gonna give you this absolute rock solid stability. Throw a bunch of gear on there, but you're just gonna feel like you're standing on a dock almost out on the water. The Hammer is built more around performance and speed. So it may not give you quite as much stability. You're not gonna feel like super tippy either, but it's just built more around that performance. And so it's not meant to replace the Titan X.
Well, we just talked to the man that signs our checks. He's probably got more important things to do. So Tyler, thank you, sir. Everybody say goodbye, Tyler.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You guys enjoy your day of Watercraft. See you next time.
Now, let's go talk to the masterminds behind the Hammer and the X-Range. Now I'm here with the mastermind behind the Hammer. This is Shane Benedict, the lead designer for Native Watercraft, and he's going to talk us through some of the bigger questions surrounding this kayak. Biggest question, I guess, the overarching question that people want to know, how does this kayak feel?
That's the biggest question? That's a weird one.
You're going to have to use your best judgment on what that means.
Stop it. Get some help.
Well, actually, the first thing that I noticed on the first big, long mission I went on was that it is just super smooth cutting through the water. It's just real clean. You feel effortless, you know, like you feel very efficient. It has a real nice sway to it, so you can roll through waves and stuff, and I really like that feeling. And then also, of course, you know, because we've got a swivel seat on it, being able to swing around and then really trust the secondary stability, it's a really comforting feeling.
So I think what you just said kind of basically describes what the hull can do for you, but I want to know what it actually looks like. So what are some certain features that you've built into this hull to make it all happen?
I guess I'm gonna start at the front because that's actually one of the big things is this super sharp entry. It's actually the sharpest entry we've ever done on a Native Watercraft boat. And so that just gives you a really clean entry in the water. Priority 1 is efficiency as far as moving the boat through the water. Priority 2 of that is it's quiet. So we break the water really cleanly. The next thing that you'll see in the hull design is that it's got a very smooth, rounded chine. And what that does is it also makes the water line super efficient and fluid. It allows the boat to roll really smoothly through chop and waves and things like that. As we move further back, the chines tuck in to the stern end of the boat to make it a clean exit. So the water comes off the end of the boat in a narrower profile, which also makes for a more efficient hull design. And then something that I've added on with this boat is an extra volume, or it's kind of like what a trim tab would be on a motorboat, except for it's static. So that extra volume engages when we either start to pedal hard or we motorize the boat. The boats, a lot of boats, when you put a motor on or you pedal really hard, they'll start to squat or sit in the water. And so what happens is these are actually just above the water line most of the time, but when we apply extra power or force to especially the tail end of the boat, it wants to drop down, and then we engage those tabs or those wings, and that volume not only helps hold it up, but the shape of it being a platform that engages the water helps keep the trim of the boat at a more level and therefore smoother and efficient sort of attitude when it's going through the water.
One question that we've seen basically across all platforms is that some of our previous models could ride a little bit drier, and I think with the combination of the X-Range and the Hammer, you did a fantastic job, by the way, but this is a super dry ride. So why don't you tell us kind of what you did in order to make this kayak, you know, the kayak that it is?
We heard you all talking, and we wanted to make this thing the driest boat that we've made yet. One of the things that made me capable of doing that was the working together and redesigning of the Propel. We added a little bit of length to it, and what that allowed me to do is to raise the floor, therefore the volume, therefore the capacity. And by being able to raise the floor inch and a quarter, inch and a half actually is about where we ended up, higher than previous models. That gave us a capacity of 650 pounds. It's a super dry ride. Really excited about that.
One really unique thing I think about the X-Range is you were able to design a kayak around it. So the way that this integrates with the kayak is actually really super cool. So why don't you, I guess, show us how it deploys and retracts back up into itself.
This has been a super fun part of this project. Along with redesigning the whole pedal drive, I was able to redesign the whole console area where the drive goes. And so several things happened. We were able to lower this drive scupper, as we call it, lower it down so it gives you a much bigger floor feel. You feel like you have a lot more space in the area. It also allowed us to redesign the drive cover, which comes with this integrated storage area. You know, so that's one function of it, but then we wanted to make this so we could get more space here in the cockpit area. You know, so suddenly we gained a good 6-8 inches of space that used to be taken up by the drive when it stuck out all the way up into your foot room. But by being able to deploy the drive and then pull it up and fold it onto the deck, it integrates with the hatch. And then, let me put the mic down for a second. You're able to actually even pull the voile strap up and lock her in place. Now she's ready to roll. So you can put that on your trailer in drive like that. And it's stowed away for when you do need it. Another question that folks had is, you know, is it easy to deploy and then stow? And I can show you right here. So that folding dynamic makes it really nice, and then it actually just snaps right into place. It's a really cool, simple feature there. And then to pull it up out of the water, same thing. And then as you lift, you just fold it forward, you know, and you got your stow strap there. Yeah, I'm super excited how easy that is.
That was easy.
Another question that was frequently asked is, how does this perform in vegetation and heavy cover? So what steps, I guess, did you take in order to get this drive to be able to go through stuff like that?
Well, I mean, the big thing we did is, you know, in big motors, they actually have weed cutters as part of a motor system when they know they're going to be dealing with vegetation. And we added something very similar to what you'll see on an actual motorboat motor is a weed cutter. And it basically, it's a blade that's cut right behind the propeller that as vegetation starts to wrap around the prop, it then gets cut by the blade. Obviously, if you get into some really heavy stuff, it's not gonna, you know, you're not gonna cut that. But a lot of times what happens when we were testing is that we would just wrap a little vegetation up and then we could either back pedal or forward pedal, you know, and it would start cutting up that material and trying to get it off of the blade so you could keep going in pretty shallow water.
Okay, Shane, let's talk batteries for a second. One thing that's really unique about this kayak is all the battery storage is actually internal. So in the bow hatch up front, and even up underneath the seat, the battery for your motor. Everything can fit inside. So let's talk through that for a second.
Yeah, this is actually, this configuration in the front hatch is something that we came up with originally in the Max series, which allows us to put the battery in, one battery in the front compartment and then be able to route wiring all over the boat. And one of the main things we get is what size battery, can we fit in this front compartment? And as a matter of fact, I've got the one that I sort of used as a base for this boat, and this is a 12 volt 60 amp Dakota lithium battery. To be exact on the dimensions, if I remember correctly, it's about 9.5 by 8, and then you can get as tall as probably almost 9 inches because the hatch has actually a raise in it. So when you close this, you could close over a pretty tall battery there. So it's a pretty big capacity for a battery in the bow hatch. And then back in the back of the boat, once you follow me over here to this other boat, and I can show you something. You can fit, a 12 volt Group 31 size battery, or any battery basically that fits that dimension, which is roughly 13 inches. What is it? It's 13 by 7 by 9 or something like that. But you can see this is a massive battery. This is a 38 volt 50 amp hour giant battery laid down in there that fits in the bottom. Really great part about this that I really like is it gets that weight of the battery down low in the boat. Makes it like a weeble wobble. You can't fall over. Nice. All that weight down low, and it makes it even more stable.
So we talked about batteries for a little bit. Now let's dive into electronics. I guess when we're designing kayaks nowadays, we have to think about multiple graphs. We have to think about live scope. So what are some different mounting options for the units themselves? And then also, I guess, internally, the computer systems that some of these units run off of. What options do our consumers have?
This could go on a while. I don't know.
No! God, please, no! No!
First off, we did have some specific questions with the new X-Range and how it folds up on the boat. Obviously, when we start moving around a big piece of equipment like the X-Range, it's going to start to get into the way of people's normal operations. And one of them was the captain's bridge. It's a really popular accessory that we have for mounting monitors. And you still can mount a captain's bridge on the front, and you can pull up the drive. It's just that you can't fold the drive all the way forward, obviously, because you have a big bar going across the boat. So one of the things that we did do is make sure that you could mount monitors and still be able to lift the drive all the way up. And I'll just show you that real quick. Drop this down, and if I pull this up, you have to be a little careful with the pedal, make sure it's out of the way. But then there you can have a monitor. You could also obviously mount monitors back on these rails. That's one of the things about the Hammer is that there are rails all the way around the perimeter of the boat. So you can mount accessories wherever you need. In fact, you can see that we have these through ports here. That actually almost kind of helps you want to have a monitor up close to you, or obviously that could run any other thing. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of the sky's the limit with all this accessory track all over the boat. There's a lot of mounting capabilities that are available for you. Another thing that we've got is a couple of accessories with all of this electronics, and if we're getting into forward-facing sonar and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of wiring that has to happen, and that starts to include computers, right, the black boxes and that kind of stuff. And so one of the things we did with the Hammer is a different accessory that's actually a computer plate or a molly plate that mounts underneath the hatch. And there's actually just four bolt pattern that holds that on. There's a little bit of space behind so that you can have nuts and the bolt heads and that kind of thing sticking out the back. But then you could mount a smaller computer plate here. You can mount fuses, and then therefore it's directly adjacent to the battery or running it into the boat. There's a whole bunch of capabilities and possibilities there. And then we also got a more traditional computer plate that if you wanted to go that route, this just drops in. I'm gonna put this down again. This just drops in, and that actually snaps into place. just like computer plate accessories that we've done before. So you have a lot of options for different types of wiring and routing of all your electronics.
I had no idea, Shane, that people would be so hot and bothered about this swivel seat, but it seems to be a pretty trending topic online. So why don't you just talk to us about what's going on?
All right, the swivel seat. Yeah, so the cool thing is that we can do just about anything with this swivel seat. You can have all different types of options. We came into production with a full swivel because people were annoyed by the locking mechanism having to unlock it all the time. So they wanted to be able to have access to the back really easily, swivel around, casting sideways, all that kind of stuff. Basically what it comes down to is sort of a personal preference. We start off with this model, so you have full range of motion, easy access, all that kind of stuff. You can actually take this seat and unbolt it from the frame, take the swivel out and bolt it straight to the frame so you have a totally static seat. You can also buy an accessory from us that's a locking swivel. So you can sort of attack this swiveling seat or stationary seat however you want to, whatever fits your needs the best.
Shane, thank you, brother, for your time, for walking us through the Hammer and the X-Range. I know you've got some important things to tend to, more things to design, maybe in the future, we'll see.
Oh, shit.
Dude, all right, Shane, thank you for your time. Appreciate you for answering some questions about the X-Range and Hammer. I know you've got some other things to design, more important things to do than deal with marketing for the day, so thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And let's answer some more questions. We've got a couple of questions coming in from you guys that all have to do with the X-Range. We dove into the Hammer itself just a little bit, talked about some of its features, but really the heart and soul about this kayak is the new X-Range Propel drive. Now, I've got my boy Hans over here, and he helped design this. Actually, he is the brains behind this whole thing. We caught him after his 2-hour lunch break. He probably got a acai bowl, maybe.
It was actually Rocky's Hot Chicken Shack.
Rocky's Hot Chicken Shack.
Yeah.
Where's my invite?
It's coming.
Okay.
It's in the mail.
Next time. So I'm gonna let Hans take it away, but first, let's answer some of those questions. I guess kind of the biggest question of all is, how is this different from the previous 701 series?
Yeah, it's a good question. One thing that's really cool about the previous 701 to this X-Range 801 is that it is, we're still using the great parts of the componentry, the super reliable instant reverse gearing, all that has been maintained, but what we're doing is really just kind of carrying forward the parts that we felt we could make a lot better, which is storability, the ability for it to fold up onto the deck of the boat, for example. Those are the kinds of things that make the 801 great. The other thing we've done is we've made it so that when it integrates with our new boats, like the Hammer, it's going to give you more deck storage, more room on your deck, and it increases the capacity of our boats as well. So you really get not only something that's more compact, folds up, works a lot better, whether it's in the boat, on the boat, or in your car, but you also get something that's going to give you more capacity in your boat as well.
So I guess the biggest thing for me, being in marketing, we're always traveling with a lot of Propel drives, but the stowability, this allows me to carry 6+ pedal drive systems in the back of a truck, which I'm super appreciative, Hans. Thanks for thinking of me. So how about we go check it out? Let's see how it works.
So the X-Range, not only it folds down, which helps you while it's on the boat, folds down for your car, for your truck, if you want to throw it in the back. And then the other thing is you can actually remove the thwart tube and it folds down further. So it's a lot easier just to keep it folded down when you're putting it in the back of your car.
Is the X-Range compatible with older models? Short answer, no, it is not offered as a standalone accessory yet. So excited! But when that time comes, you'll be sure to know from your local dealer. Is the X-Range faster than the previous 701 model? No. Same speed, it's all about control, ease of use, transportability, and most importantly, added capacity to your kayak. Can I order replacement parts for the X-Range online? How about we go straight to the source, our customer service guy, Brian. Brian runs a tight ship, so I'm interested to see what he has to say. All right, Brian, are you ready for your debut? Have you thought about what you want to say?
2 hours later.
Brian, can you order replacement parts for the X-Range online?
Yes, you can order online or through your local dealer.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. As you were, yes, we will have full maintenance and how-to videos on this X-Range just as soon as our marketing team decides to get their together.
Bruh.
I guess that includes me, right? And if we haven't answered enough already, you guys still have more questions, so let's go through them real quick. What water is the Hammer best for? Well, if it's wet, she'll float.
You are really dumb. For real.
But we recommend inshore, big water, reservoirs, bays, slow-moving current. White water, not so much, but we have a brand for that. How fast is the Hammer, you ask? Well, as fast as your little can pedal. This just might be the fastest kayak on the market. If you've got one you think is faster, I'm down to go 1v1. 3.5 miles per hour all day, 4.5 miles per hour if you're cruising, and then 7 miles an hour with a 3 horsepower motor.
I'm fast as boy.
Can you put a Honda on it? Well, straight from the manufacturer, we can't legally say yes. We recommend up to a 3 horsepower motor. Will the native sidekick work? Yes. Do we have new colors? Just tell us what you want, no promises, leave a comment down below. Where can I get one of these hammers? Well, we have a dealer locator on our website, find the closest one to you. Or you can come to our store, Big Adventures, here in Fletcher, North Carolina. Last question, what size paddlers can the Hammer fit? I personally am 6'5", and I have Avery here with me. How tall are you?
I'm 5 feet.
Let's see how we compare.
Wow.
Let us begin. Avery, you're next. Is this the first time that she's sitting in a kayak?
Yeah.
Wow. You saw it here first, folks. That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully this kind of gave you two opposite ends of the spectrum. We've got one really tall person and one shorter person.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
But the Hammer can fit a wide variety of paddlers. If you have any additional questions about the Hammer, please feel free to drop them down below. We're actually reading them. Well, I'm not reading them, somebody is.
Hi.
And if you want to see the Hammer in person, check out your local native watercraft dealer. Appreciate y'all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the water.
No, let's do it again. That was awkward. Let's just do it again.
I just won't even address you this time. The mic's not on. This whole video is going to be up my nose. I feel like this whole shot is going to be up my nose. I feel like Hans is a vampire. Oh.